Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape,
vinyl tape, carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Listen, I was reading this young lady's bio, and it is so incredible. So, Annette, welcome to the platform. Annette Lartigue, welcome to the platform. How are you today?
I am well, and thank you for the opportunity to sit with you.
Not a problem. So, I guess the first thing I want to really talk about that jumped out at me from your bio was you running for political office in the city of Trenton.
Yes.
What was the reasoning? What was your motivation behind that?
Well, first, let me tell you that in high school, I served on the student government.
Yes.
And went on to college at Elizabeth City State University in North Carolina for a political science degree, a BA,
yes,
with minor in law.
Okay.
So I've always had an interest. I used to come home from grade school, and because my father told me I could sing and I could talk. So I came home from grade school, and I believed him, and I still believe him. My family doesn't believe the singing part.
Yes.
But that's okay. I think that's the sibling jealousy.
Yes.
At any rate, I used to come home and give my mother and father speeches about what my teacher talked about. So there's always been a love of people. There's always been a love of social justice.
Yes.
And there's always been an idea and an affirmative heart for shaping the policy that impacts people who live in the city, because I was born and raised here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So you've seen the progression and the transition of who we are as Trentonians.
I've seen the decline.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what do you think it's going to take to get us back on top?
The first thing is, one of the things that you speak about often is everybody's not going to have a 9-to-5 job.
Yes.
And so we have to realistically look at our population.
Yes.
And set a strategic plan, which is inclusive of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And a conscious effort at entrepreneurship, not just simply throwing money at it, but looking at the region and determining where and how we fit into the market. You know, most people miss the mark. Trenton is the intersection of the Northeast corridor.
Yes.
And I don't think that we have, pushed that narrative enough. I don't think that we've talked about that enough. I don't think we've marketed ourselves enough to that region.
Now, I'm going to say something biased because it is my show.
Absolutely.
And I want you to tell me whether or not we are there, right?
Okay.
On the outside, Trenton has a lot of potential. But when you come on the inside, we're very cliquish and we're very siloed. And the same people who tell you that we're very cliquish and siloed, those are the same people that won't move out of the way to be more inclusive of everyone.
Well, we have to take some responsibility for that as a city and as a population, because the idea is, as long as you let a few control everything, they will.
Yes.
And as long as you allow people who talk the talk but don't walk the walk,
yes,
you're going to get what you get.
Yes.
And it's really just that simple. We're at the intersection of the Northeast corridor. The county, the state, and every other elected official should be working with and for Trenton. And that's not to say that they're not.
Yes.
I just don't believe that we're working at the degree that we can and should be.
Agreed.
So, yes,
Agreed.
Trenton is cliquish.
Yes.
Trenton does have a population that allows a few people to manage it.
Yes.
So as soon as we change that mindset, we'll change the game.
Now, how do we change that mindset? What should we be talking about? Who should we be aligning ourselves with? Are there outside agencies or persons that we should be bringing into to help facilitate that?
I think it's time to do more in terms of mentoring.
Yes. Okay.
To prepare the younger generation for elected office.
Yes.
I think we need to do more to help people in the city understand how policy impacts our city.
Yes.
And I think we ought to do more to help our population understand what's due. There are a lot of overdue bills in Trenton relative to support. Okay. And it's time that people understood that. Unfortunately, we get into this population thing when we're running for office, when we're looking at office, and most people don't have a clue about who or what they're voting for.
Yes.
Not one person anywhere on the street, as I, campaigned for some people,
yeah.
asked the question about policy.
Yes.
And what would happen and what could we do? The very questions that you're asking, they don't ask.
Yes.
It's that, I knew their mother's cousin, sister, brother. So what?
Yes.
Oh, I think that they look great. Yeah, most of them do dress up and clean up well.
Yes.
But how are they thinking and where is their heart? And what do they know about policy and government?
Yes.
We missed the message on that.
So if I can understand this correctly, you would be suggesting that we do an after-school program or include it into the school curriculum, like civil engagement and policy and planning?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it should be a part of the curriculum.
Okay.
And if it's not, for every nonprofit who reaps the non-taxes in this city, which is killing us, we're overrun with nonprofits. And I don't have anything against nonprofits. I support them 100%.
I do.
But there's only so much room in a tax base for nonprofits.
Yes.
Hamilton Township needs to share that responsibility, as does Lawrence, Ewing, Princeton, Pennington, and everybody else. They dump everything into inner cities. And so we attract people who not only don't live here, but don't know anything about the city and don't have any plans for the city.
Yes.
And so I would suggest that it be a part of the curriculum.
Yes.
I would suggest that some of these nonprofits incorporate policy, elected office, and what it takes to be a responsible elected official into the programs that they're promoting. Even as we look at entrepreneurship, we need to understand how our economic growth and policy impact entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What is the policy from the county regarding young entrepreneurs? What is the policy from the state regarding? I'm not talking about just throwing programs and grants, because most people don't understand that. Everybody wants a job. Nobody understands if they get the contract at the state for the toilet paper alone, they will be multimillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding those types of things make a huge difference. And I think we ought to start, training to that.
Yes. Now, you were saying something and my mind just skipped a beat for a second. So I want to ask this question. we were talking about the not-for-profit. And the reason why I said I had a problem with the not-for-profit is because I think that there's too many in the city of Trenton.
There absolutely is.
And I
Do
think
you realize they don't contribute to the tax base?
Yeah. Well, beyond them not contributing to the tax base is sometimes, again, going back to this ego thing, they set up a not-for-profit just to set up one, but they're doing the same thing as 50 other not-for-profits.
Well, it's the city's responsibility to help ensure that we train our nonprofits as well.
Yes.
Because we can't stop anybody from buying property. How they use it is something that Trenton and every other urban municipality ought to be involved in terms of what the city needs and what works.
Now, have you thought about running again for an elected office?
I'm never running for elected office again. I am going to do everything I can, as I have been doing, to help train and educate those who want to run. Here's the issue with a lot of people interested in elected office. They already think they know the game.
Yes.
They think they know the game. They look at, being an elected official, as a badge of honor for the resume.
Yes.
It's a badge of honor for the people. And a lot of people have lost sight of that.
Very true.
Even now, I have to say that a few of the members running for council now did reach out through Teska Frisbee and with Teska Frisbee to request some question and answers for former council people.
Yes.
It's the first time that's ever happened here. It's happened for me in other places where people who are considering office will reach out.
Okay.
But it's the first time it's happened here in Trenton.
Okay. Now, let me stop you for a second. You say that when other people are running for elected offices outside of Trenton, they will call you to ask for your insight.
They have called to ask, should I run? Why should I run? What would you tell me? What are some of the things I need to consider? Absolutely. I've had that question many times. And some of them have run and some of them haven't, whether it was for school board, a position on a board, whatever it was, it involved policy and politics. They reached out.
And so is that one of your entrepreneurial spaces that you fill as a political consultant?
I wouldn't consider myself a political consultant.
Yes.
I would consider myself a consultant as a whole, because as you can see from my little resume, I have quite a few things to offer.
Yes.
One of the programs I developed was WWMBA, Women Who Mean Business Association.
Yes.
And that is to help grow women, to help elevate the voice of women, to get women involved in politics, in policy, in planning, because it's important.
Yes.
We have earned and deserve a seat at the boardroom table, the kitchen table, and the business table.
Very true.
Wherever that table is. And so, yes, that is one of the things that I do. It's one of the things that I will do as long as I live.
Yes.
And that is to encourage, promote and elevate not just women, but people who are interested in running for elected office.
Now, Annette, let me just ask this question. So if you're looking at your Rebuild Trenton crystal ball, what area or what two areas of focus would you jump in on to say, this is how we're going to rebuild Trenton? What two areas would you focus in on?
Well, it would have to be more than two, if I may, Kevin.
Yeah, by all means, please. Yeah.
It would first have to be, a whole cleanup process downtown and at the riverfront area.
Yes.
That's number one. We need to build our riverfront, and the opportunity is there.
Yes.
Politics is in the way.
Yes.
The opportunity to build the waterfront is there.
Yes.
If it can happen in most other municipalities that have waterfronts, it can certainly happen in Trenton at the northeast quarter connection intersection. And so I would start with the cleanup, building the waterfront, and building life skills in Trenton.
Okay.
Making sure that for those who don't have a high school diploma, don't want to go to college, that they have some type of realistic training.
Yes. Okay. I love it. You know, oftentimes when I talk on this podcast and I talk to, entrepreneurs, particularly developers, real estate persons, we always talk about the waterfront. And I'm quickly reminded of Perth Amboy and Asbury. Wonderful access to their waterfront, and they've been able to develop that like nobody else's business. But why can't we seemingly do that here?
Politics.
Understood.
And I don't want to go into that too much here. We can have that discussion at some point, but I want to make it clear that it's politics.
Yes.
Because the opportunity is there.
Yes.
The opportunity is absolutely there. I'd also like to see more mixed-use housing.
Okay.
That's where we have, as you're well aware, the houses on the top, the condos on the top, the businesses on the bottom.
Yes.
I'd like to really grow the downtown area because it's so ripe for opportunity.
Yes. Understood. Now, my next question is, when you look at Trenton, do you think that Trenton could rebuild itself from the art community?
Absolutely. And forgive me for leaving that out because that was what I wanted to say when I said it would have to be more than one.
Yes.
The arts community will go a long way in helping to restore Trenton.
Yes.
And I think to that end, Artworks is doing a wonderful job.
Very true.
And so is the Playhouse downtown.
Very true.
There's more opportunity at the War Memorial Building to ensure that art stands out.
Yes.
And it's not just all night for one weekend, but it's every day, 365, 24/7.
Yes.
Art is a huge part of restoring cities.
Now, Annette, with your busy schedule, are you active in any policy and planning regarding the Trenton, Trenton area?
I'm getting more involved. I retired.
Okay.
I had a constructive retirement.
Yes.
If you understand.
Understood.
And so, I'm getting more involved. I wanted to take some time off because I was mentally and emotionally drained.
Yes.
And I needed self-care in a big way to restore myself.
Okay.
And so I'm there. It's been almost 2 years. March 1st will be 2 years.
Okay.
And I am going to be doing a little bit more hands-on than I have been in the past. I'm looking forward to working with Dan Benson. I'm looking forward to continuing some of the work I started with Mayor Reed Gaciore.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to helping young people who are interested in running for office understand policy and planning, as incorporating, understanding that strategic planning is the biggest part of it.
Yes.
Something a lot of people misunderstand and misrepresent.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to a real re-entry program, and I want to salute Tracy Syfax for his From the Block to the Boardroom and his educational courses relative to that. Those things make a tremendous difference.
Yes.
And when we talk about planning, we have to include re-entry. I remember when I first brought it to the city, I'd read about it and was doing some research about how we help restore folks who are returning.
Yes.
And I stumbled upon re-entry and brought it to the city. And I remember initially that the city didn't understand re-entry.
Wow.
And had not had any real discussion or planning for it. And so when I brought the idea to Doug Palmer, he promised to promote it, move it forward, and salute my idea to bring it to the city.
Yes.
And so I think that has to grow a lot more in the city, reentry. And I think we need to consider Trentonians first. And
Absolutely.
It's not that I would lock anybody out.
Yes.
But those who are returning to their hometown deserve the first opportunity.
Now, let me ask this question because I want to jump back into that. What is the number one industry that's missing in Trenton that could be, besides art, that could really jumpstart where we are?
Big box industry.
What was that again?
Big box industry.
Okay.
We have a lot of land around here that could be used, developed, and used to create an industry for employment.
Okay.
We have to see the state jobs are one thing because they require certain skills to some degree,
Yes.
except for entry level. The other thing I want to see, and I'm going to jump off track here for a second, but it'll merge back in, is that those who work here and don't live here should pay a tax here. And Jossie Edwards speaks to that a lot.
Yes.
That's important. That's important. If you don't live here and you work here, you should pay a tax here, as they do in Pennsylvania
Yes.
and other places. You know, the state takes up a lot of our land, which creates our structural deficit.
Yes.
And so when we talk about industry, it's going to have to be an industry of sort that promotes employment and training.
Okay. Okay. And you see that maybe 25% of that could be reentry proposed.
As long as it's not nonprofit.
Okay.
We have so many, so you spoke to that. The idea of reentry is real.
Yes.
That's a small piece. Some would say it's a large piece, but there are so many pieces, and you have to divide the pie evenly if you're going to have a cohesive, constructive plan for restoration.
Yes.
And so, yes, I'd like to see a bigger piece for reentry,
Okay.
bigger training piece, a bigger piece for mental health,
Yes.
a bigger piece for good health, a bigger piece for family planning. See, we don't think about that when we think about restoration, but it's a huge part of it.
Yes.
When we don't plan for our families, we plan for our families to fail.
Very true. Very true.
And so there's a huge part, there's a huge mix. It's an eclectic mix, if you will, of the things that have to happen to restore the city. And any step forward is a good step.
Now, because you are an entrepreneur, where would an entrepreneurial incubator, where would that be located? And do you see the promise of such?
I absolutely see the promise of such. And I think with this, Minding Your Business
Yes.
program,
Yes.
if you will, for me, is an incubator
Okay.
of sorts. And it could happen right at the college, the Mercer County Community College.
Okay.
It could happen in any number of empty buildings downtown
Okay.
that are outfitted to do just that.
Understood.
So we should have an incubator for business, entrepreneurs.
Yes.
However, you see yourself in the businesses, especially entrepreneurs, contribute to the economic growth of a city.
Now here's my take on that. I would love to see an entrepreneur who is quite successful, who has done quite well, to come in and to create this whole phenomenal. Because even at the collegiate level, they still don't see the value in the entrepreneurial aspect of it if there's not an entrepreneur leading the charge.
Well, one of the reasons that's true, I agree with you there 100%. But one of the reasons that it's not just politics that create failure sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes people who are too smart for their own good.
Yes.
They let their degrees get in the way of their education.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think Mark Twain said something to that sort. I may have paraphrased it, but same thing.
Yep.
The degrees get in the way.
Yep.
Oh, I have 3 degrees and I'm mastered and I have a doctoral degree. And so I know what's best for the city that I've never lived in.
Yes.
And don't know the the map.
And I'm afraid to talk to its residents.
I don't even know its residents. Let's start with that, unless they're in a nonprofit program paying a fee for my services. And so, thanks for sharing that. That's something I will consider and I will take into account because, I don't think what I do is called an incubator, but it's along those lines.
Yes.
I've done foster care for that very reason.
Yes.
To help restore. When I become a multi-millionaire billionaire, one of the things I intend to do is to create a university for foster children.
Oh, wow.
Where all of their needs will be met on that campus.
I love it.
That's right.
Wow.
So we'll speak it into existence, a university for foster children. And
I love it, yeah.
The foster children from Trenton.
Yes.
First, we won't deny any if there's a river. But first, the foster children from Trenton, because that too is a big deal. Like, did you know, sidetrack, but we'll merge back. Did you know that foster children should not emancipate once they become the age to do so, which may be 16 or 17, 18? They shouldn't do it. You know why?
Why?
Because the system has a responsibility to pay for their education and or training and housing.
But who's there advocating for this so that they don't make that mistake?
Well, I do it on a regular basis.
Yes.
Every time I get the chance, I speak to it.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to speak to it so that they understand it. My children understood it.
Yes.
They, I can't mention names, but I dealt with a kid who nobody had any hope for. And that boy started college. He didn't finish, but he started. And once the seed is planted, the opportunity to go back exists.
All because you told him not to emancipate himself.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
And so,
let them for college.
Most foster students want to emancipate themselves because of what?
They can't wait to be grown. They can't wait to be out on their own.
Okay.
Usually the girls, have met some guy that they fall in love with and they think they're going to live happily ever after.
Yes.
Or they just want to be free. Every foster home is not a good home.
Yes.
I can remember, and I'll say this publicly, anywhere, anytime. You can quote me on this.
Yes.
They told me, the foster care system, that I spoiled my kids.
Wow.
I told them, when I trained to be a foster parent, you told me to treat them as I would treat my own.
Yes.
And I did that. Yes. They had a right to help plan meals. They had a right to have an allowance. They had a right to have structure and vacations and everything that goes with that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they thought that I was doing too much for them.
Wow.
I didn't understand that. I still don't understand it.
Wow.
And I've talked to several people about it and they blew me off. Well, you made it hard for them because now they expect to live like that. And they should.
Yes.
They should. What should I do? Lowball them and hope that they hit low?
Yeah.
Or aim them high. And if they miss, at least they have their eye on the mark.
Absolutely.
So those are things that are inclusive of what it'll take to restore Trenton.
Now, I first of all, thank you. I never knew you were a foster parent. How long were you a foster parent?
Oh, for about 5 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, wrapping all of that up, what have been some of your challenges that you had to overcome, while being an entrepreneur and while dealing with your political career and looking at the city of Trenton? What have been some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
And serving as an executive, the first Black executive at the Mercer County Board of Social Services.
Yes. Excellent.
Some of my challenges, many of my challenges were us. We understand everything else.
Yes.
But us.
Yes. Okay.
I could have freed so many more if only they had done.
Yes.
And so the other thing I want people to know is, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
And people think that means you have to give everything away. Okay. What that means, a lot of what that means is simply this. To whom much is given, much is required. That means that when people mistreat you, the people who can't do anything for you, and you help them,
yes,
you have to understand that the backbiting, the backstabbing, the misunderstandings, the miscommunications all come with that.
yes.
And when the turn comes to do it again, you have to do it again, because it's not about what you do for them. It's about paving the way for you and your grace.
Yes.
And so my biggest challenge has been trying to help us understand solidarity,
Okay.
to agree on something and work towards that. It doesn't mean we always have to get along, but we must agree
Yes.
and have a solid vision, plan, and purpose for the things that we need to elevate. And that's the hardest thing, because the crab in the basket mentality is so real. I could tell you some stories, and perhaps I will over drinks and dinner one day.
Absolutely, yes.
About the difficulties I encountered as the first Black executive at Mercer County Board of Social Services.
Okay.
People don't understand, and this is another thing. You should always help people when and wherever you can, no matter the circumstances. Just do it.
Yes.
It doesn't cost you anything, because if we don't help each other, there aren't too many others who will.
Yes.
But the idea is this. We have got to stop shooting at each other. And by shooting at each other, I mean tearing each other down.
Yes.
Creating paranoid things that don't exist. They think you bet. How does somebody think that you think you're better than them? Don't you know if you could read what I was thinking, you could bottle that and you wouldn't be talking to me
Yes.
because you'd be a billionaire?
Yes.
You don't know what people are thinking. Give people a chance. There's enough opportunity and hope for everybody if you focus on you
Yes.
and not other people. And so that would be my message. That's been my most difficult challenge, dealing with us, helping us understand that it's not just about me, it's about us.
Now,
and the proof is in my pudding.
Now, all right. Now, Annette, are you hoping that as you work with Mayor Reed and his administration, that he will allow you to expand that platform, or at least to create that platform along with this new council?
I don't intend to depend on anybody to create a platform.
Okay.
What I depend on is simply a partnership.
Okay.
To work with it. And what doesn't apply, I'll let it fly.
Understood.
But if I had to depend on folks allowing me to do things, it would never happen.
Okay. Okay.
And I want everybody to get that message. Don't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something, go for it.
Yes.
Do it. If I'm going to create an incubator and you have planted a bigger seed for me today in that, here in Trenton, because Trenton is, my vision and my hope.
Yes.
And you don't have to be in elected office to do that. I am going to reach out to some partners and start to establish an incubator.
Yes.
And it may be virtual at first, but we'll look for opportunity and hope to land in a place that people can actually come to.
Okay. I love it. Now, besides the challenges, what have been some of your regrets, if at all any?
I think my biggest regret was that I did not first understand. I didn't have a clear understanding. It was my first time in executive leadership.
Yes.
I didn't have a clear understanding that just helping people wasn't enough. Initially going in, I couldn't see the whole picture.
Okay.
I just wanted you to have a job, Kevin.
Okay.
I just wanted Al to have a partnership. One of the things that was critical for me as an executive at the board was to ensure that Black men got hired.
Yes.
And that alone was a challenge. Not only did we fight
yes.
they fought me, and it was difficult preparing many of them to become employed.
Yes.
I would have young men show up with wife beaters on for an interview.
Wow.
Things of that nature. And although they didn't have to have a suit and tie, they need a decent shirt and a decent pair of pants. And I would encourage anybody who wants, to help in that area to ensure that every young man
yes,
has a decent pair of shoes,
yes,
decent pair of pants, and a decent shirt.
yes, yes.
Just the little things.
Now,
Just the little things.
Before we got
I
started,
respect not understanding the game.
mm-hmm.
And what I would encourage, to get back to you, what I would encourage and what I do now is work more towards helping them build from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top, so that when they get in the middle to rise to the bigger top,
yes,
they understand the game. Because most people don't understand. They think they do, but they don't understand the game, because I didn't.
Understood. Now, and you keep saying you didn't understand the game. Did you not have a mentor? Did you want a mentor at that time doing all of this process?
So I have to tell you that coming along, my parents were my biggest mentors.
Okay.
And then my husband
Yes.
was one of the most creative and intelligent men that I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that because he was my husband. It's true.
I will echo that. That was my buddy. And him and I, we've done several projects together. So thank you. Yes.
So he really, grew me in a way
Yes.
that was even beyond my expectations as a wife and a business partner and owner.
Yes.
But yes, I did have a mentor.
Okay.
Here's the other thing. It's important for like-minded people to get together and pull up the next generation of possibly like-minded people. So executives should work with executives to ensure that assistant executives and supervisors get it.
Yes.
The supervisors should work with employees and clerical staff to help them get it.
Yes.
But I have to tell you, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge.
Yes. But
but
I'm sorry. You go ahead, Annette.
It's worth it.
Yes. Oh, very true. Very true. The next thing that comes to my mind, I keep coming back to our original thought about what do we do to put Trenton on the map? And so I wanted to ask this question, right? When you're in a town or a community our size, right? How important, not only do we adjust, we talk to the issue of recidivism and reentry, but how important do we deal with, say, the addictions? How important do we have programming and support for those folks that may have an addiction? How important is that?
It's very important because our communities are typically flooded with illegal drugs. And check this out.
Yes.
Don't miss this. We don't manufacture any drugs here in the city of Trenton.
Very true.
That they're transported in.
Yes.
Along with guns.
Yes.
And so the idea of dealing with addiction is real. As you can see on my resume, I'm a formally certified addiction specialist.
Yes. No, I saw that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And in order for us to deal with addiction, we have to deal with the secrets that keep us sick.
Yes.
And by that, I mean that there has to be a lot of mental health counseling.
Yes.
And a lot of family counseling. And, typically Black folks are opposed to counseling.
Oh, yes. Particularly the men.
Yes, taboo.
Yes, particularly
I'll tell you what, just take a look around you. The next time you think you're keeping a family secret, take a look at you and find out and see how safe the family is.
Yes.
It's not.
Got you.
It's not. There's a lot of abuse. There's a lot of things going on. And it's not just in our community, but I'm speaking to my community.
Yes.
And I want to be inclusive in that. But for Black folks, counseling is taboo, but we have to have mental health. We have to have a serious mental health component. And that doesn't mean that people are mentally ill. Some of us are. It means dealing with the things that impact us mentally and emotionally.
Yes. And helping us to unpack that.
Yes.
Yes.
unpacking is serious business
Yes.
because, you know, I was talking to somebody today about confronting a fear I used to have.
Okay.
And I have fears. You know, one of my greatest fears used to be height. And so every time
What do
I
you
got
mean,
on
like
it,
going up an elevator or climbing a ladder height?
no.
Okay.
Height, real height. You know, when you see the Empire State Building height,
Oh, got you. Okay.
flying height,
Got you.
anything above 10 stories height.
Okay. Got you.
And so I went through a horrible time adjusting to flying, but I wanted to travel.
Okay.
And I couldn't drive then and I can't drive now. You know, the biggest joke is I can't park, and I can't. It is what it is. I don't know how I got my driver's license,
Yeah.
but I do the best I can. I'll say that.
Yes.
But I confronted that fear by forcing myself to take short trips on a plane.
Okay.
And eventually I got used to it. And I was so afraid that getting onto the plane, sometimes I would be physically ill, like sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked on first the outer seat, the aisle seat,
Yes.
and then the middle seat. And now I sit at the window seat.
Yes.
And then I learned to lift the window a little bit just to let light in,
Yeah.
and then a little bit more until I can now fly and look out the window when I'm in the air.
The whole time. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to confront some of my fears.
Yes.
I spoke on a podcast that I just recently did with Dr. Tabitha Bellamy
Okay.
about some childhood trauma.
Yes.
And those are fears that we have to confront. You know, everybody just wants to be well and famous and popular and all those other things. You know what? I just want to be at peace.
Yes.
And that's all I've ever wanted. And sometimes refusing to allow people to disrupt my peace creates distance,
Yes.
you know, and I'm okay with that because sometimes people have to be on the no-fly list.
Absolutely. Yes.
If I'm going to elevate, they got to be on the no-fly
Yes.
list.
Yes.
And so, you know, mental health is a big part of what we have to confront for every community: Hispanics, Blacks, whites, Latinos, everybody,
Yes. Now,
everybody, the entire population.
now let's talk about that for a second. Is the school system itself, is it doing enough to encourage like this self-awareness, this mental health? Is it doing enough at its level for its young folks?
So let's talk about that. I think that's a great topic. And thank you for asking that, Kevin, because not long ago I was reading in the newspaper about something that had happened in Hamilton Township
Yes.
School. And it may have been that one of the kids committed suicide or was killed. Something happened. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't have enough room in my small brain
Yeah.
to retain
Uh-huh.
everything. I've gotten
Yes.
more than I'll ever learn. And so I was reading about it, and Mercer County talked about how they brought counselors in to help the students deal with that.
Yes.
They never did that in Trenton.
Wow.
Mercer County never brought counselors into a school in Trenton to help deal with any of the trauma that these children have encountered.
Wow.
And so, although the desire may be there,
Yes.
the funding is not. The support system from multiple levels is not in place as it should be.
Yes.
For Trenton, we have a school monitor. But I would challenge anybody to tell me the last time they brought counselors in to help a child where there was a murder on their street, where there was gunfire that came through their window.
Yes.
When is the last time somebody brought counselors in to help them?
Yes.
And so the idea may be there, the support is not. And so it may be available and we may not be aware of it. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Yes.
You know, I don't follow the school board agenda anymore. My children graduated, and after I left office,
Yes.
I just didn't follow it. And so I would encourage parents to seek and ask for support whenever their children encounter trauma in the city of Trenton. Ask the county.
And now that we are talking about that, I'm mindful that for 180 days, the school board, the school system has over 11,000 kids that they're responsible for. So we should be having counseling services, and we should be making sure that our young folks have access to all those needed and necessary services. Because collectively, that's the largest group of people in the city of Trenton.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
When we talk about restoring Trenton, we need to start taking a look at undocumented immigrants.
Okay.
And undocumented immigrants deserve a fair chance, but they also need a real path to legal immigration.
Yes.
And as long as we don't have that path, our schools are going to be overcrowded and underfunded.
Got you.
So elected officials ought to be looking at and thinking about that too. And speaking of which, a school board election is coming up as well, because the city, I'm sure not understanding exactly what they were doing, voted to have an elected school board.
Wait, hold up. Wait, time out. Wait, hold up. This is news to me because, and you know, Gene Bowie knows I love him dearly. I actually brought him on the podcast and we spoke specifically about that. And so you mean that referendum was voted down, so now we're going to have a school board election?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's right. That's a very accurate response. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's right. That's right. And so the parents don't really have a full understanding about how to hold the state monitor, the state, the county, and or some teachers, because we have some excellent teachers in the system.
Yes, we do.
Accountable. How do you expect them to hold an elected school board accountable? By voting them in or out, the damage is done.
Wow.
While they sit. And so we're in for a very rocky road, and I want to tell everybody listening, please don't do the same thing over expecting different results.
Yes.
When you go to elect school board members, make sure they have an understanding of what the role of a school board member is.
Yes.
And what they do. And ask them to point to some examples and show some experience in the area.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
Don't get caught up in degrees because you missed the education.
Yes.
Make sure they have some experience in the area.
Wow. I thought, so for me, I thought that, and this is personal that I'm sharing with you, I love the fact of having a school board, right? However, in the city of Trenton, I was totally against it. I thought that if we were clicking on all cylinders and we were doing more of the right things, then we would have more people in attendance to school board meetings and PTO meetings, then maybe this would be an opportunity to give folks that opportunity to select who's going to guide the board. But in the city of Trenton, in this particular urban area, in this urban population, no.
Parents don't go to school. They don't go to PTO meetings.
This is very true.
Do a podcast about, somebody should do a podcast about who attends parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah.
They could do it virtually.
Yeah.
They could do it by phone, face-to-face, whatever, and they don't do it.
Yeah.
Now, there are some parents in the system who are very active and caring.
Very true.
And involved, but the majority of them are not.
But not enough to drive the whole system.
Not enough to drive policy and change.
Yep. Wow.
And so an elected school board puts the students at the mercy of the voters.
Yes.
Do I need to say anything else?
Nope.
You remember the last council?
We're
at
all
the most.
we're all trying to forget that one.
We can't forget it if we're going to learn.
Yeah, boy. Oh my God. Yeah.
We cannot forget it if we're going to learn. And so there are some phenomenal people in the city of Trenton,
Yes.
and the talent is amazing.
Yes.
It's underdeveloped.
Yes.
And so we have to work on that. So there are a lot of things we have to do. I have some, experience, strength, and hope.
Yes.
I have some regrets. I have some lessons, and I have some lessons.
Yes.
What I know for sure is that Trenton has a phenomenal wealth of talented people.
Yes. Now,
A lot.
Now, Annette, before I let you go, and we still have more time, I just want to try to create everything in a nice, round, packageable bubble, right? What's the number one thing that should be for the listening audience this evening, your takeaway? What's the number one takeaway that you want the listening audience to understand about you?
That as a poor Black girl growing up in the city of Trenton with two parents,
yes,
very humble beginnings, that your circumstances don't create you, you create your circumstances.
yes,
Just remember that, because by all means, growing up, it wasn't the boulevard then, it was Princeton Avenue.
yeah, I remember that.
The 900 block, no less, across Southern Street,
Yes,
in a mixed community, Black and white. We were counted out from the door.
got you.
And my mother insisted that I go to a HBCU.
Yes,
I was accepted at Trenton State, and I was so happy. Like, I'm going to be able to live at home and mooch off my parents a little bit more and, do my thing, and I can drive my dad's car and all of that crazy stuff, right? My mother said, that's not happening here. You're going away to school. Number one, it's going to help build your character and your strength.
yes,
And number two, I want you to see Black people getting it done.
yes,
Because wherever you land, and of course, I hope it'll be here,
yes.
you'll come back and bring that back and help your people.
Love it.
That was my mother.
Yes,
That was my mother. My father just believed that I could do anything that I wanted to do
yes,
if I put my mind to it.
yes.
He's the reason I sing. Both of them.
Awesome. Now
I can't sing a lick.
but I was going to ask you, when we end the conversation, did you want to sing something?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because I don't want to offend your audience. It's okay if I offend my family.
Got you.
But, just don't count yourself out.
Very true. Now,
Don't count yourself out.
now my next question, Annette, is, so, like, as the founder, and I want to get this name correct, as the founder of the Women Who Mean Business Association, what's your hope for your impact that you're going to have? What's the hope of your impact that you're hoping to have?
That we're going to lift each other up.
Yes.
That we're going to create an atmosphere of
Yes.
opportunity and hope for every woman who wants to partner.
And when you say women or woman, you're saying 18 and over.
I'm saying every kid. We used to have debutantes,
Yes.
and a lot of that fell off because of COVID,
Yes.
didn't going to school. But we started at the 8th grade, the
Okay.
debutantes,
Excellent.
8th and 9th graders,
Excellent.
because the sororities and fraternities had the 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes.
So we started at 8 and 9, and we taught them social etiquette, how to get involved, and how to plan for a career. Those were
Awesome.
the basic things
Awesome.
that we wanted to teach them. And
Awesome.
so, I'm real proud of that.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that the younger Women Who Mean Business Association will come together now that COVID is over
Yes.
and re-engage that mentoring program, the
Yes.
debutante program for 8th and 9th graders.
Yes. Now, I'm looking at your mantra. Can you share that for us for the listening audience? Your mantra?
Which part of it? I have several.
Oh, well, okay. So the one that I really wanted to concentrate on was where you talk about I was built and designed for success.
I was built and designed for success. And that means that, I was always taught, and I would encourage every parent to teach their kid that, as I said, don't count yourself out, count yourself in.
Yes.
Because the opportunity is there. The win is going to be in your face. Keep moving.
Yes.
And so being built for it means that my mother prepared me. I had the opportunity to go away to camp. I had the opportunity to go to college. My mother stayed on my back in high school, I could do my homework and stuff with my hands tied behind my back and my eyes closed.
Yes.
It was a no-brainer. If I got a B, she wanted an A. Okay, I'll give you an A.
Yes.
It was really just that simple. But she stayed with me. She stuck with me. So if you're going to mentor people, stick with them and let them know that they can do it.
Yes.
And whatever they can do, as long as they're doing their best, that's what matters. Encourage them to keep moving.
Yes.
And so, being built for success just means that there were people around to give me the tools to do what I needed to do.
I love it.
And I believe in God.
Absolutely.
I'm a believer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
so being built was with mother, father, mentors, teachers. I was built for it. There were people who believed in me.
yes.
And sometimes for a kid, that's all that matters is that you believe in them.
Yes.
And they know it.
Yes.
And you show it.
Now, with the time that we have left, is there any other thing that you would want the listening audience to know about your entrepreneurial career, your background, your hopes, your dreams, or your desires? Is there anything else that you would want to share with us?
I would tell everybody to have a side hustle.
Yes.
I don't care how small it is.
Yes.
Always prepare yourself for emergencies and crashes and things that you don't plan for.
Yes.
And in that, some type of entrepreneurial business will help.
Yes.
If you want to sell hair, do nails, do pedicures, manicures, skincare. My family and I have always encouraged my children to have a side hustle.
Yes.
And both of them do. But I'm currently engaging my daughter and her husband, both my daughters and their significant others, into a partnership to build a service designed especially for men. It's going to be a full service enterprise, and I'm looking forward to it. And as we move forward in it, I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that sounds exciting. You make sure you come back on this platform to kind of share with us what's going on.
Once we're LLC and we're trademarked,
yes,
I'll be able to share a little bit more about it.
Yes.
But as you know, in business, when you're preparing to launch and testing the market and looking for funders and funding,
yes,
until you are solidly in place, you got to hold some things close to your chest.
Absolutely.
But I can tell you it is a family venture.
Okay.
It is going to be full service, and it's going to be unlike anything anybody has seen.
Awesome. So I'm going to wish you and your family nothing but success. But I want to ask you one other question that just came to my mind, right?
Sure.
Looking at Trenton and then looking at other cities across the country, do you think that you would have a better chance of going to another city similar to Trenton and having a greater appreciation of who you are?
So let me tell you, prophets never honored in their hometown.
Yes. Thank you.
And that's true in more ways than one.
Yes.
Most of the business that I do and the conferences that I hold
yes.
are outside of Trenton.
Yes.
Because people have an interest. I have just completed a book that I've been working on off and on for over 4 years.
Yes.
It's called You Are Not the Trauma Center, Discharge the Chaos.
Yes. Say that one more time.
You are not the trauma center.
Yes.
The byline is discharge the chaos,
Yes.
because it is the trauma that's holding most of us back.
Yes.
And so I just want you to know that if you're going to be successful, you have to be prepared to move beyond where you sit.
Yes. Amen.
You have to be prepared to branch out.
Yes. Amen.
You have to be prepared to branch out. So I have been better accepted in other places. Folks are not intimidated by my resume
Yes.
or my experience or who they think I am.
Yes.
They accept what I bring to the table.
Yes.
And you'll find that when you venture out, you're usually accepted. Your welcome is warmer in other places.
Yes.
That's a fact.
No, I concur. Ditto. I agree. Amen.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It definitely makes a difference.
Wonderful.
It makes a difference. And I would encourage people to, work together to build their families and to build their legacy and to build, their generational wealth.
Yes.
Everybody forgets about that.
Yes.
They forget that if you don't leave something, there is nothing.
Very true.
My vision and my goals, I know that solidarity makes the difference. It makes the difference.
Yes.
If we could just come together on one thing and move forward with that, we'll see that there are other opportunities to move forward and branch out into other things.
Yes.
And Black lives do matter.
Yes.
And Black men do lead.
Absolutely. Wow.
That's my experience, strength, and hope.
I wanted to share. I wanted to ask a question of you before we conclude. When we talk about trauma, can we also talk about the social injustices, or maybe not the social injustice, but injustices done by, like, the environment? Can we talk about that? And can we talk about how that needs to be addressed as well?
When you speak to the environment, be a little bit more specific.
Well, I'm talking about there's some parts of Trenton where mental health and some of their health concerns might be brought on by poor living conditions, maybe having lead in the water or lead paint still in some of their households.
That's a fact, and Trenton has, Fairleigh done a lot to try to address those issues.
Yes.
But I think that we have to get to a bigger level here. And see, this is where policy and impact come in.
Yes.
The amount of authority that the city has with landlords
Yes.
is sometimes at a stoplight because of the rules governing landlords by the state. And no matter what we think, believe, say, or create, we do not supersede state laws, as
Yes.
state laws don't supersede federal laws.
Yes.
And so if we would change some of the policy regarding landlords,
Yes.
it would impact how we would better be able to deal with them. It's not just a city issue. Yes, we're short on inspectors. Yes, we don't have enough to go around, but that's our structural deficit, something nobody seems to get.
Yes.
That's our structural deficit. And so if you don't have the money, I don't care how much the desire is, nobody's going to work for free.
Very true.
So to address some of those very issues that you speak to, remember I said that the pie is so large
Yes.
and it has to be divided evenly so that we can address the issues realistically and constructively
Yes.
with a strategic plan. It speaks to those types of issues, the policy that affects landlords, that affect us.
Yes.
It's very difficult to hold them accountable in a lot of ways because at the state level, there are laws that there are stopgaps in there. There's a gap.
Yeah.
There's a gap
Yeah.
in terms of, what we can legally do and not do
Yes.
regarding landlords. And I think landlords take advantage of the city of Trenton.
Very true.
Not all of them, but those who don't live here, they buy up these properties.
Yes.
They keep going. And so you talk about entrepreneurship. Let's talk for just a second, if you will, before we go for a minute about investment.
Yes.
Some of y'all need to get together and buy the house next door, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Buy the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
keep everybody else from, some gentrification has to happen if we are to restore Trenton. We do understand that too.
Yes, we do.
But we don't want so much re-gentrification that it pushes us out as it's doing in Brooklyn. Look at Brooklyn. Look at Brooklyn. A whole new world.
Absolutely, yes.
You couldn't afford to look at Brooklyn, let alone live there now.
Yeah. Yep.
Harlem.
Look at Harlem.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Look at it. This very same thing is going to happen to Trenton if we don't get our act together.
Very true.
As a resident.
Very true.
Business owners and policymakers in the city of Trenton. We got to get it together.
Yes.
And kudos to the mayor for winning re-election.
Very
Hopefully
true.
with a council that is willing to work with him, there'll be so much more, that we can accomplish in partnership than we could in chaos.
Very true.
And the chaos is gone.
Yes. Annette, you have been fantastic. Thank you for gracing this platform and the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This was fantastic, right? It's organic, right? I just wanted you to speak your mind. I wanted the listening audience to hear what you had to say, and you are very well accomplished. So thank you. And I know we only just hit the tip of the iceberg, but man, fantastic! You have done a lot, and you are continuing to do more. So thank you.
I'm grateful that I had an opportunity, and I want everybody else to know they have one too.
Yes.
You create your circumstances moving forward.
Absolutely.
Let the past go. It's gone.
Yes.
Yes, there was trauma. Deal with it and move on as best you can. Get help. Mental health services are important.
Yes.
Trenton, let's rise. Trenton, rise. Come on. We can do this.
You sound like a cheerleader for Trenton.
Yeah, I am a
Okay.
Listen, when you look at that resume, it's not a resume. It's just a list of some of the things that I've done.
Yes.
But when you look at it, I want you to remember I'm a product of Trenton.
Absolutely.
I'm
just messing with you.
Yeah, I'm proof. I love Trenton.
Yes.
I want to see Trenton, rise. I have several different residences, but my primary residence is Trenton.
Awesome.
And I love it. And I'm going to be there forever.
Awesome.
It doesn't mean I won't be in other places. I will be.
Yeah,
But Trenton is my home base.
Yes.
My hometown is where I pay taxes, and I lived for so long. I live there now.
Yes.
I work and I play in Trenton.
Yes.
But I don't mind branching out.
Very true.
And neither should you.
I have no problem branching out. Annette,
Thank you.
You have been fantastic. Let's stay connected and keep us posted with the much success in your family business as well.
I will keep you posted in that, because once we're prepared to launch,
yes,
and we're legally on solid ground,
yes,
with protecting, our venture,
yes,
you're going to be one of the first people I reach out to.
I appreciate that. Keep me posted as well.
Thank you.
Annette, have a good evening now. Thank you.
You too. Keep going.
Yes.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Not a
Bye-bye.
problem. Bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.